Now, like I say, I'm sorry if I go over this very, very briefly, but of course we will be going over each tool in a lot more detail when we come to that tool. Now, like I said before, with the overlocker, if you are not going to be overlocking your trousers around the pockets, you can use what's called a binding. Now, the pockets will be from your calico or your curtain lining or a shirting. The pockets are never in the actual fabric of your trousers. They're always in a contrast fabric. Or you can get special pocketing fabric, but really essentially I just use a calico or a curtain lining, or like I said, a shirting. Now of course that's going to be a white, so I've got here a white binding, and I'll be using that to go around the pockets to finish those off when the pocket bags are done. Okay. Now you're going to need your threads as well. Now when you've got the colour of your fabric for your trousers, then you need to choose a thread which corresponds exactly to that fabric. And of course, if you're going to be using an overlocker, you're going to need 3 further threads, okay, which contrast with this fabric as well. So you need to it's always best to get yourself 3 or 4 threads, definitely 4 threads, 3 for the overlocker and then 1 for your sewing machine to make up these trousers. So that's your threads. Now also, I've got white threads here as well, because you know, you might want to overlock certain parts of the pockets if you're going to do that. So you're going to need white or off-white, or the colour which corresponds to the pocket bag of your trousers. Okay. Now if you're going to be using binding, then you will not need to do that. But we will go over that later on, you know. Now I've got here a seam ripper or an unpicker, because there'll be always parts where you need to undo the threads if you make a mistake. So the seam ripper is fantastic for that. It's such a great tool as that. Now also as well, when you put your buttonhole in place, you're going to need some fray check, because that will basically prevent your buttonhole from unravelling and coming apart. So fray check is needed for that as well. Now, because I'm going to be showing you the real industrial way of these trousers, of how they are created, I've got here the 4-part hook and bar system. Okay, so this is what you see in the industry for your closures of your trousers. You've got a bar with the bar back, and you have got the hook with the hook back here. Okay, but of course, like I say, I'll be showing you that later on. Now, in order for you to put these in, if you haven't got a machine, like most of us probably haven't because they are in the industry, you're going to need just a standard small hammer, and of course that bends back the prongs and it secures these hooks and bars in place on the trousers near the front closure. So that's our hooks and bar system. Now I'm going to be using standard pins for this as well. You see, you always have lots and lots of pins with you. And of course I've got lots of buttons here to choose from, which I'll be putting the buttons in here, because of course we'll be putting a back pocket in, so there'll be a button for that, and there'll also be a button on the front closure in conjunction with the hook and bar clasp system. So I've got my buttons here, so I'll be looking at those later on and choosing the best button for that. So basically, that's it. Oh, there's one more thing I nearly forgot. Hand sewing needles. Now, hand sewing needles are for when you blind hem your trousers at the bottom. Now, if you are lucky and you've got a blind hem machine, fantastic, then you can use one of those. Of course, that's what they do use in the industry, blind hem machine. But of course, we're going to be using the hand sewing needles in order to hem our trousers when we finish them off. So of course, I'll be coming back to these at the very, very end of our trousers when they're near enough finished. So that's all the equipment that we need for our trousers. So we can now go on to the next stage, where I'm going to show you how to start measuring in order for you to start creating your trousers. So I will see you very soon in the next video.